There is a moment in every life where time becomes a mirror. A word is spoken, tomorrow. And yet the wise ask, why tomorrow? What is so lacking in this day, in this breath, that change must be postponed? When we defer to the future, we are in truth retreating from the present. We give our power away to a moment that does not yet exist. In doing so, we miss the invitation that exists now, in this heartbeat, in this silence between thoughts. The phrase, God said tomorrow at 10:19, everything changes, is filled with gravity, mystery, and weight. It implies destiny, it implies authority, it implies a moment that has been set apart, sanctified. But what if the sacredness is not in the time, but in the attention we bring to it? What if what truly matters is not that change is ordained to occur at 10:19 tomorrow, but that one is awake enough to receive it, prepared enough to inhabit it, and empty enough to be filled by it? So many live in the space between now and later. They dream in future tense, they suffer in memory, and in between, the present dies a quiet death. The leaves fall, the wind shifts, the breath enters and leaves the body, and they are not aware. The world moves as it always has, but the mind is elsewhere. It is in the next chapter, before finishing the sentence. It is in tomorrow's promise, not today's responsibility. Presence is not a poetic ideal, it is the ground of being. It is the unshakable foundation from which all change arises. Without it, any transformation is shallow, unsustainable, a flash of insight followed by a return to old patterns. Real change is not a sudden burst of inspiration. It is the result of continuous attentive practice. It is seeing with clear eyes the shape of one's life. It is listening deeply, not to what you want to hear, but to what truly is. The phrase God said carries a sense of ultimate authority. But no matter the source of the proclamation, no matter how divine the instruction may seem, its power only becomes real when the individual accepts the responsibility of awareness. A person can be told that transformation is coming, but if they remain asleep, distracted by fantasy, dulled by routine, the change will come and go like wind through a canyon, present but unnoticed. The sun rises for all, but not all wake to see it. Tomorrow may indeed hold significance. There may be a shift in the current. There may be a realignment of unseen energies. But without attention, these pass by unmarked. One must be a student of the present moment to receive what the future holds. You must cultivate stillness now in order to hear the whisper of change later. And stillness is not silence. Stillness is alertness, unshaken by impulse or fear. It is the unmoving center in the heart of the storm. It is easy to get caught in the illusion that tomorrow will bring with it the strength, the clarity, the opportunity that today lacks. But this is a subtle form of self-deception. It is not that tomorrow contains more power. It is that today has not yet been fully used. The discomfort of this fact leads many to project their hope forward, to the next sunrise, to the next year, to the next milestone. But time does not grant transformation. Discipline does. Attention does. Courage does. The danger of waiting for 10:19 tomorrow is that one forgets to prepare at 10:18 today. The threshold is narrow. Life is made of such narrow thresholds. Blink and they are gone. Miss a breath and you miss the insight it carried. Misplace your awareness and you become a spectator in your own life. The birds fly overhead, the sun dips behind the mountain, the bell tolls, and you are still waiting, still asleep, still postponing the beginning. One must ask, if I am not ready now, why would I be ready later? What is it that will suddenly shift in me, not by effort, but by time alone? Time passes, but does not teach. It is not time that matures a person, but reflection. 1,000 sunsets may be seen, but unless one stops to feel their warmth, to absorb their quiet truth, one learns nothing from them. Transformation is not about the quantity of time, but the quality of presence within it. To live fully is to live in readiness, not in anxious anticipation, but in quiet openness. Readiness means that If change comes at 10:19 tomorrow, it will not find you grasping or lost. It will find you aligned, balanced, listening. And if it does not come, you are still well, because your foundation was never in the promise of change, but in the posture of awareness. To be prepared is to let go of attachment to outcome and root oneself in a deeper soil, the soil of now. This moment, this exact breath, is the only place where life actually occurs. The mind may wander into future time zones, but the body remains anchored here. So the question is not what will happen at 10:19 tomorrow. The question is, what are you doing now to prepare the vessel? If the divine were to pour something into you tomorrow, would the cup be clean, steady and still? Or would it be cracked, distracted and full of noise? There is a discipline to presence. It is not a passive state. It must be cultivated like a garden, with daily tending. It must be fed with silence, pruned with awareness and guarded from weeds of thought and distraction. To be present is to be at peace with the unfinished, to rest in the space before the answer arrives, and to resist the pull of constant stimulation. This kind of presence cannot be purchased. It cannot be faked. It reveals itself in how one walks, listens, breathes. You may sit in meditation and still not be present. You may appear still, and yet your mind races. Presence is not appearance, it is essence. It is the quality of attention you bring to each action, whether sweeping the floor, tying your shoes, or saying goodbye to a friend. It is the refusal to divide your attention between now and later, between what is and what could be. It is a single flame, unwavering, even in the wind. So when the voice says, tomorrow at 10:19, everything changes, let it not lull you into waiting. Let it awaken you to what remains unfinished in this moment. Use the time you are given not to fantasize, but to prepare. Strengthen the spine, soften the gaze. Breathe deeply, as if this breath is the last one before the great unfolding. That is the way of readiness. That is the way of those who live in alignment with the eternal. The wise do not seek to control the timing of change. They seek to become worthy of it. They know that great moments come not to the distracted, but to the devoted. And devotion is not dramatic. It is found in the quiet rituals, the unseen labors, the discipline of showing up fully over and over again, even when no change seems near, even when 10:19 feels far away. But the truth is this: the moment of change is not when the world shifts, but when your perception of the world shifts. That is the real transformation. The world may look the same to others, but you now see differently. You now act from a deeper place. That shift in consciousness is what allows real change to take root. Without that, change is only temporary, a wave without a tide. Therefore, the question is not whether 10:19 will come. The question is, will you be awake when it does? Will you be clear enough to recognize it, still enough to receive it, empty enough to be filled? Or will it come and pass like the wind? Another missed opportunity, another unopened door. This moment, right now, is the preparation for what is to come. How you sit, how you listen, how you breathe. These are not small things. They are everything. They are the temple in which the sacred descends. They are the canvas upon which the divine paints. If you wait for the masterpiece to appear without preparing the canvas, the brush will find no home. Be here, not in name, but in substance. Let your senses awaken. Let your thoughts settle. Let your heart become quiet enough to hear the soft steps of transformation as it approaches. Not because tomorrow is guaranteed, but because now is the only promise life has ever made. So when you hear that tomorrow at 10:19 everything changes, remember, the future begins in the present. Do not wait. Begin now. Begin here. Begin again with full attention, because the most sacred time is not tomorrow. It is always this moment. In a world saturated with vague intentions and distracted minds, precision stands as a quiet force, unassuming but immensely powerful. When we hear a phrase like, "Tomorrow at 10:19, everything changes," there is a detail that pierces through the ambiguity. 10:19. Not 10 o'clock, not sometime in the morning, but 10:19. Specific, deliberate, unmoving. That precision is not decoration, it is message, it is signal, it is structure, embedded into language, to awaken a deeper level of awareness in the listener. Because in the language of discipline, precision is the form through which truth reveals itself. Nothing meaningful arises from generality. The body cannot train in abstraction. The breath cannot be mastered in theory. The mind cannot find stillness through scattered thinking. Growth demands clarity, and clarity begins with precision. Time is not merely passing. It is counted, it is shaped, it is structured. So when a specific time is named, it calls upon the part of the mind that understands commitment, rhythm, timing. The same way a martial artist moves at the exact moment, not early, not late, so too must transformation strike when the moment is ripe. Precision reveals readiness. When one lives without discipline, time becomes an ocean without shore. Hours dissolve into each other. Days become weeks, unnoticed. Life becomes reactive, not intentional. But those who train, who listen, who observe closely, they know the value of a moment. They know what it means to place attention on one breath. They know that to move at the wrong time or speak without timing is to lose harmony. In that way, even the smallest measure of time, such as 10:19, can become sacred. Not because of its number, but because of the awareness it demands. To understand the nature of change, one must understand timing. Not just cosmic timing, but personal timing. There are seasons in the self, as there are seasons in the world. But the difference between drifting through them and moving with them lies in perception. One must develop the sensitivity to recognize the precise moment when something is no longer serving and the exact moment to release it. One must know when to strike, when to be still, when to breathe in, and when to let go. Precision is not rigidity, it is refinement. It is the art of moving in alignment with life's deeper rhythm. There is something powerful in assigning a specific time to change. It creates focus. It demands preparation. It sets a countdown not to create fear or tension, but to sharpen the blade of awareness. When you know that something significant will happen at a precise moment, your mind begins to orient around it. You become more alert, more intentional. The distractions that once claimed your attention fall away, because the moment ahead has weight. And in that process you begin to awaken. Not later, but now. Specificity is also an invitation to show respect. The person who says, "I will begin meditating tomorrow," may or may not begin. But the one who says, "At 5:30 tomorrow morning I will sit," is already aligning their energy with that act. The time is chosen, the decision is anchored, the will is engaged. There is a kind of honor in precision. It does not allow the self to hide in vagueness. It asks, "Are you truly ready? If so, declare it. Set the time, make the moment, then prepare." There is a deeper lesson hidden in the precision of 10:19. It is this, that transformation is not abstract. It is not some mystical, ungraspable wave that washes over you when the stars align. It is grounded. It is real. It takes place in time, it takes place in action. And to enter it, one must be attentive not just to the general idea of growth, but to the daily rituals, the exact practices, the small timed efforts that build strength. A blade does not sharpen itself with broad strokes. It sharpens on the edge of refinement, contact, pressure, and consistency. One must understand that precision is a teacher, It does not accept approximation. It requires that you know where your hand is, where your gaze rests, how many steps you've taken, how many remain. It requires awareness of breath, of posture, of emotion. It leaves no room for wandering minds or unfocused hearts. And so when someone says that at 10:19 everything changes, it is not just a statement of time. It is a challenge. Will you be ready at the minute? Or will you miss it because you assumed you had more time? The truth is, most people do not miss transformation because it never came. They miss it because they were not precise enough in their living to recognize it. They were not awake at the hour it arrived. They were not looking when the moment opened. They were not listening when the bell rang. The opportunity passed not because it was hidden, but because they were not in alignment with its timing. This is the quiet price of imprecision, missed moments, unrealized growth, silent regrets. Our rejection taught us the Mayas by tempting the tumbling. There is a certain humility that grows when one begins to live with precision. You realize how much you once overlooked, how many moments you dismissed because they were not grand or dramatic. But with practice, you begin to see that the greatest shifts happen not in thunder, but in silence, not in huge leaps, but in subtle shifts, not in years, but in seconds. The one who sees that knows that 1019 is not just a number, it is a gateway, and it will open only once. And yet, there is no fear in this realization. There is only deepened attention. When you live with precision, you do not worry about missing the moment. You are already in it. You are already preparing for it, not by waiting, but by aligning your being with what it demands. You rise earlier. You move with care. You speak less and listen more. You shape your environment to reflect your inner clarity. Your room becomes cleaner. Your rituals become sharper. Your actions become quieter, but more potent. This is not just about being on time. This is about becoming someone for whom time itself begins to move differently. When you live with full presence, precision becomes a natural expression of your clarity. You are not rushed, but you are never late. You do not wait passively, but you are never anxious. You move when the time is right. Not too early, not too late. This is the rhythm of mastery. It is not about perfection, it is about alignment. 1019 may seem arbitrary to someone who is not paying attention, but to someone who lives with awareness, it is a marker of seriousness. It is an expression of a truth often forgotten, that the sacred hides in the specific. The divine speaks through detail. The eternal reveals itself through the present moment. And that moment always arrives exactly on time. Not at 10:18, not at 10:20, but exactly when it is meant to. In this way, precision is devotion. It is the quiet bow before time. It is saying, I am here, I am listening, I am ready. And this readiness is not born of fear, but of love. The love of truth, the love of clarity, the love of becoming who you are meant to be, not later, not someday, but now. So when you hear that everything changes at 10:19 tomorrow, do not fixate on the clock. Let that number become a symbol, a mirror reflecting back to you the question: how precise is your attention? How refined is your awareness? How prepared is your vessel? Because real change does not come when the minute hand arrives. It comes when you begin living as if that moment matters. That is the true meaning of 1019. It is not just a time, it is a test. And the test is not whether you remember the hour. The test is whether you live in such a way that you are already in harmony with it, so that when it comes, it does not disrupt you. It completes you. Change is often misunderstood. People speak of it as though it were an external event, something that happens to them, something they wait for, something that arrives from the outside like weather. But the most enduring change does not come from the outside. It begins within. The outer world may reflect it, may mirror it, but it does not create it. The storm is visible, but the pressure that builds it begins invisibly. True transformation is the same. It grows in silence, in repetition, in intention, often long before anyone else notices. When someone says everything changes, most minds race to visible shifts. New jobs, endings of relationships, relocation, recognition, results. But all these are consequences, not causes. They are the fruit, not the seed. The seed of change is internal, a shift in perspective, a correction in posture, a refinement of intention. No meaningful transformation can be sustained unless it is rooted in inner work. Otherwise, it is just rearranging the furniture in a burning house. There is a temptation to look for change in the environment first. People move to new cities hoping to leave behind old habits. They seek new relationships hoping to escape past wounds. They chase different paths hoping the road will change who they are. But unless the self that walks the road has changed, the destination will always feel familiar. Because the patterns follow, they live inside. Wherever you go, the mind comes with you. So until that mind has been transformed, made still, strengthened, purified, the world remains largely the same, no matter what new form it takes. This is why the work begins quietly. No one can see when a person begins to breathe differently. No one may notice when a person starts observing their reactions instead of being ruled by them. No crowd gathers when someone replaces judgment with compassion or chooses silence over argument. But these small, unseen decisions are where transformation takes root. They are the true milestones. The visible changes come later, often as a natural result of an inner realignment that no one else witnessed. There is no shortcut to this, no sudden thunderclap that erases the need for discipline. Those who wait for the outer world to change before they do will wait forever. But those who begin within, who sit with themselves, who practice stillness, who question their own assumptions and face their shadows, these are the ones who initiate the deep kind of change, the kind that cannot be taken away, the kind that does not need to be performed, the kind that becomes part of the way they walk, breathe, and exist. This work is often slow. It does not announce itself. It comes in the form of daily choices, when no one is watching, when there is no reward, when the ego is tempted and the soul says no. It shows itself when a person chooses discipline over indulgence, when they pause to breathe before speaking, when they return to the practice even after failing. These are the signs, these are the steps, and though small, they are the beginning of real change. When the time comes and the outer world begins to reflect the transformation, others may call it sudden. They will say things changed overnight, but the one who has been practicing knows that the visible moment was simply the culmination of many invisible ones. The outer shift is the fruit of seasons of inner cultivation, just as the blossom is only possible because the roots held firm through the winter. The world reflects your inner state more often than it changes it. When the mind is calm, the chaos of the world has less pull. When the breath is deep and steady, even conflict feels less threatening. When the spirit is anchored in clarity, there is less need to prove anything. The need for external validation fades. The impulse to control dissolves. Instead, one begins to move differently, more aligned, less reactive, more present, less fragmented. From this place, true change flows. It does not require force, it does not seek attention. It emerges naturally, like water finding its path down the mountain. Change that begins within moves with grace. It touches everything but imposes nothing, and because it is rooted in something deeper than mood or moment, it lasts. It is not held together by motivation but by conviction, not by excitement but by presence. Many people chase breakthroughs. They long for the moment where everything shifts, but few are willing to sit in the stillness required for the ground to prepare. Few want to do the quiet, invisible work, to sit with discomfort, to dissolve illusions, to be honest about what they've been carrying. But it is this work, unseen, often uncelebrated, that leads to lasting change. You cannot leap into a new life if the mind remains trapped in the patterns of the old one. And so, when someone says that everything will change at a certain hour, the wise do not wait for that hour, they begin now. Not by seeking outward shifts, but by tending to their breath, their posture, their thoughts. They ask, where am I not yet aligned? Where do I still cling? What must be let go? What have I neglected within myself that now asks for attention? These are the real questions. Because when the inner world shifts, the outer world eventually follows. In truth, the only thing you can ever fully change is yourself. The world is too vast, too complex, too uncontrollable. But the self is here. It breathes with you. It listens when you become quiet. It responds when you bring care and discipline to your own journey. And once that transformation begins, once the self becomes less fragmented, more integrated, more awake, then everything you touch begins to shift as well. The words you speak change. The choices you make change. The way others respond to you changes. And most importantly, the way you experience the world changes. Nothing outside you needs to shift in order for you to begin this work. The right time is not tomorrow, it is now. The right place is not somewhere far, it is here. You need no new tools, no special environment, no dramatic event to begin transforming. All you need is attention. All you need is the willingness to stop turning away from yourself and begin turning toward what is real within. That is the gate. That is the path. There is a quiet confidence that grows in a person who has done inner work. They no longer chase moments. They no longer wait for signs. They live with a readiness that is not rooted in anxiety, but in awareness. They know that when the outer change comes, whether at 10:19 or any other moment, it will not catch them off guard, because they are already walking in alignment with it. They have already become the person who can carry it. The outer shift is not a surprise, it is a confirmation. So, if everything is meant to change, the question is not when. The question is, have you done the work to change yourself first? Have you sat with your fears, your patterns, your resistance? Have you watched your reactions, your habits, your tendencies? Have you softened your judgments, strengthened your discipline, expanded your patience? This is the real preparation. This is the hidden foundation upon which all outer change must be built. Change that begins within is not always obvious, but it is always real. And once it begins, the rest will follow, not because you forced it, but because you became ready. The moment does not change you, you change, and the moment responds. In this way, the inner world is the true origin of transformation. The breath before the word, the silence before the music, the intention before the act. Begin there, begin now. And when the time comes, when the world reflects back what you have already built inside, you will not be surprised. You will be prepared, because you understood all along, nothing truly changes until you do. Even when the voice of the divine speaks, it does not bypass your responsibility. No matter how loud the message, no matter how precise the instruction, no matter how sacred the promise, the truth remains. It is not the message alone that transforms a life. It is what you choose to do with it. If you are told, at 10:19 tomorrow everything changes, that is not permission to wait. It is a summons to prepare, a reminder that while destiny may knock, it is effort that must open the door. People often hope for a voice from beyond, a moment of divine clarity, a sign, a turning point sent by something higher. And when it comes, they feel awe, inspiration, even comfort. But if inspiration is not followed by action, it decays into fantasy. If clarity is not grounded in effort, it disappears like mist in the sun. Revelation is only the beginning. The path still needs to be walked. The mountain still needs to be climbed. No one climbs for you. No one breathes for you. The journey is yours and yours alone. To say, God said, carries weight. It suggests the highest authority, the deepest certainty. But even the most sacred instruction changes nothing if the one who hears it remains passive. Wisdom that is not applied becomes noise. Prophecy without preparation is a missed opportunity. The seed contains the tree, but without planting, without water, without tending, it remains a possibility, not a reality. What you are told, no matter how divine, will not save you from the effort of your own becoming. There is no substitute for your own work. You may be told the hour of change. You may be given the coordinates of your next becoming, but it is your discipline, your choices, your daily attention that turns that promise into form. The sun may rise, but your eyes must open. The bell may ring, but your body must move. To believe in change and not act is to hold a map and never walk. It is to know the way but stay seated. Those who train understand this. They do not wait for energy to arrive. They do not wait for motivation or signs. They show up. They bow to the simplicity of practice. They trust that the repetition, the effort, the sweat, the silence, all of it is preparation. So that when the moment comes, they do not flinch, they do not doubt. They are ready. Not because they were told, but because they worked for it. They have made themselves into the kind of vessel that can carry the weight of transformation. Even divine guidance must be met with earthly labor. There is a bridge between heaven and earth, and that bridge is action. It is the quiet discipline of doing the thing every day, even when it is hard, even when no one sees, even when no reward is immediate. That is the true mark of one who understands. They do not worship the message. They embody it. When you are told that everything changes at 10:19 tomorrow, the purpose is not to cause passivity. It is to call you into alignment, to test whether you will use today to become worthy of what tomorrow offers. Time is not neutral. It is a container. It holds what you bring into it. So if you carry hesitation, distraction, complaint, you will find little in tomorrow. But if you carry readiness, clarity, humility, and focus, then when the clock strikes 10:19, your whole being is tuned to receive. There is a myth in waiting. A subtle lie that says things will get better without your participation. That clarity will solve your confusion. That fate will override your neglect. But the deeper truth is, you must meet what is given to you with equal energy. If the heavens offer a new chapter, you must arrive with clean hands. If the world opens a new gate, you must have the courage to walk through it. Otherwise, even the best moment becomes another missed opportunity. Responsibility is not a burden, it is a gift. It means you are not helpless. It means the work you do matters. That your sweat, your attention, your practice, all of it has meaning. You are not just waiting for the moment. You are building yourself into the person who can hold that moment when it arrives. This is power. Quiet power, not of domination, but of alignment. The power of saying, yes, I heard the call, and I moved. Action does not always need to be grand. Sometimes it is just getting up earlier. Sometimes it is putting down the phone, breathing deeper, stretching, listening more carefully, saying no to what distracts, saying yes to what disciplines. These are not dramatic acts, but they are real, and realness is the only path to sustainable change. The moment does not care about your potential. It meets you where your practice has brought you. So if the divine speaks, honor it with your actions. If the time is named, shape your hours around it. If the door is shown, begin walking toward it. Now. Not with anxiety, but with attention. Not with urgency, but with devotion. Action is not always fast, but it is always deliberate. Every small movement becomes part of the larger pattern. Every choice becomes a stitch in the garment of who you are becoming. There are many who seek wisdom, but few who apply it. Many who hope, but few who build. Many who speak of purpose, but few who rise each day and live in its direction. The world does not need more people waiting. It needs more people acting, not blindly, but with depth. Not with force, but with inner clarity. That kind of action creates real change. That kind of action fulfills prophecy. The instruction is not the end. It is the invitation. The real work begins when you say yes, not with your mouth, but with your movement. It begins when you make room in your day, in your mind, in your life, not just for what is easy, but for what is needed. The divine may say, tomorrow, but the human must say, today, I begin. There is a certain beauty in knowing that even the most powerful message still requires your hand to write its ending, that even destiny bows to effort, that even sacred timing waits for your participation. The clock may count down, but you decide how you show up to meet the hour. You decide how still, how strong, how open you are when the moment finds you. You are when the moment finds you. So when you hear that everything changes at 10:19, do not waste time waiting for change to come to you. You go to it. You shape yourself. You train. You reflect. You clear the clutter from your mind. You step into each moment as if it matters, because it does. Even if nothing visible happens at that hour, you will know something within you has shifted, and that is enough. That is everything. Because real change does not come only when the world moves. It comes when you move. And the divine, if it is wise, will speak only to those who are prepared to act. Not later, not eventually, but now.